Go ahead.
This video is an introduction to Smart Home Pro's Insteon 101 training program. It'll be a series of 17 2-minute videos that'll go over all aspects of the Insteon protocol and our product line. Okay. The first topic that we're going to go over is the set button. All of our devices have a set button, and they can be used for quite a few things. One is, in the case of a switch, it's used to actually kill the power to the switch in the event you're working on it so the load can't be turned on remotely. By pulling out the set button, you'll disengage the power going to the load wire, and then you can safely work on the load. You also can hold the set button in for 3 seconds and you can put the switch into Link mode. The same applies to a receptacle. By holding the set button in, when another device is in Link mode, you will actually link that device to the receptacle. And also devices like lamp modules and appliance modules, the same thing will apply. If another device is in Link mode, you hold the set button for 3 seconds, you will create a link to this device. It is also used to reset the devices. If I were to pull this device out of the wall, hold the set button in and apply power, and hold it in for about 5 seconds, I will clear the memory in the device. The same thing can be done with the receptacle. If I kill power to the device, while I hold the set button in, then reapply power, hold it in for about 5 seconds and let go, I will clear the links inside the device. Same holds true for the switch, except in this case you'll actually pull out the set button for about 3 to 4 seconds, then you press and hold it in for an equal amount of time and let go. You will clear the database memory. Now, for an accurate reset, when you push it back in and let go, you'll see the switch look like it's dead. Then it will reset and it will go to full bright. That's what a proper reset looks like. That is the set button. This next topic is 3 seconds versus 10 seconds and what that means. In our manuals and quick start guides, we refer to holding the button for 10 seconds or holding a switch in the on position for 10 seconds to put it in Link mode. The reality is you can actually do it much quicker, so this is a quicker tip. Just touch the button you want and hold the set button for 3 seconds and you can achieve the same Link mode. So rather than holding it for 10, you can actually just go to the switch and hold the set button for 3 seconds. You'll still put it into Link mode. This will save you about 2/3 of the time normally as opposed to holding it for 10. This is preset dim level. Now what that is when you have a switch that you want to turn on, you can have it go to a preset dim level of, let's say, 50% or 75%. Give you a closer look at it. This switch has LEDs that go up and down the side. If I press and hold this switch in the on position and actually brighten it up to a desired level, then pressing the set button once and letting go will actually capture that level. So the next time I turn the switch on, it's going to go to that desired level. The next topic is ramp rate. And ramp rate is decided by how bright or dim the switch is. So if you look at one of our switches, there's LEDs that are on the left-hand side of it. Now, the higher the LED goes or the brighter the switch, if you do a double tap on the set button, it has to be very quick, but a double tap, about this quick, you'll actually be able to set the ramp rate. So the brighter it is, the faster the switch will go on and off. The dimmer it is, the slower it'll go on and off. So when you're at 100% brightness and you do a double tap, the switch is going to go on instantly. If you dimmed it all the way down, let's say to the second to the last LED, and did a double tap, it'll take about 9 seconds for the switch to go on. Now, in our HouseLink software, you can actually talk to the switch and have it take many minutes to go on. I think as much as 9. And you can do all sorts of intervals. Since there are only so many spots here as far as illuminated LEDs, we only go from about 8 seconds to instant locally at the switch. The next topic is access points. Now, access points are used to bridge the phases in your home wirelessly. And it saves you having to go into the panel and to wire in one of our hardwired bridges, which is also a way of bridging your phases. Now, to install an access point, all you do is plug it into a convenient location where it's out of the way. Typically behind a couch or behind a bed or somewhere where it's not going to be in the middle of a hallway and get unplugged. Then, if you press the set button 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, the light on the side on our newer ones will light up green and the beeper inside will beep. If it's an older version, the light is going to be white and solid. Either way, you're in the same mode, which is kind of a discover mode. Now, you take your second access point and you're looking for a location, also where it's convenient and out of the way, where the access point is, in the newer versions, it is going to be flashing and green, or in the older version is going to be solid and white. That tells you that you're on opposite phases in the house. Now, an important note, you're not actually linking the device. All it is a tool that we built in here to let you know if you're on opposite phases. So sometimes people get confused and say, how do I link my access point to my keypad? That's not actually being done. So it is just a setup tool that we put in here to tell you if you're on opposite phases. If you knew that you were on opposite phases by turning off every other breaker in your panel, you could just plug them in and they would work the same way. So that is the access point. Insteon setup. Now this is something that I kind of refer to as the initial phase of what anybody would do when they're going to go into a house and do their initial test. Once you've installed the access points, and in some cases you only need 2, in larger homes you might want to do 4 or 6 based on how many floors it is or how large the property, but 2 is usually sufficient to do an initial test. Now, the basic setup is to get your access points installed, and then what I like to do is go around and maybe put a lamp module in and try that in every room in the house and see if it'll link to one central location. Now, what do we mean by that? Let's say if I had a switch that I installed somewhere, or I put just an extension cord on it for testing purposes only, and I put this into link mode. Now, by actually hitting the set button one more time, once it's in link mode, it'll be in multi-link mode. Then I would go around the house with a lamp module, and I would put a lamp in the bottom. I would plug it in one socket or one electrical outlet in every room, hold the set button, and what I'm trying to do is see if it'll link back to this device. What's going to happen is the light on the bottom is going to flash twice. I don't have to go back and check and see if it took the link. I know it's taken the link because the light flashed twice. If it flashed once and I let go and this is flashing, the LED on the side, well, that means that put this device in link mode and the two didn't see each other. So initially, before I make a big investment on going through and installing a bunch of stuff in the house, I go through and do my initial setup test. Now this video is on link mode. Now link mode can be achieved a few ways. Once on a switch like this, you can actually hold it in for 10 seconds. And by holding and holding, eventually it'll get into link mode, and the LED on the top here is going to flash. And it'll keep flashing at a constant, steady pace. A quicker way to do that, though, is just hold the set button in for 3 seconds, and you'll achieve the same thing. That saves you over 2/3 of the time, and you can get to programming a lot quicker. The same thing applies on a receptacle. Okay? Once this is linked, you can hold the set button in, and you've now created a link, so this switch can turn on the receptacle. So link mode is also done in keypads. Now, on this box right here, if I wanted to put this button into link mode, I just hold the set button, touch it once, hold the set button for 3 seconds, and that button will go into link mode. I can do the same for any button. As long as it's the last button I touched, holding the set button for 3 seconds will put it into link mode. This video is for multi-link. Now, multi-link can be achieved on a regular switch or on a keypad, or actually any controlling device, whether it's a remote link or anything that sends a command to turn on another device. Now, the way to do that is hold the set button in for 3 seconds if it's a switch and let go. We're in link mode, and that is something we've already talked about. But if I let go and I hold that one more time and just tap it. So hold it for 3, let go, tap it once, I've put the device into multi-link mode. What that allows me to do is literally link hundreds of devices if I choose to this switch. And I don't have to come back each time and put it into link mode. So let me touch on that one more time. When the switch is in its normal state, holding for 3 seconds and letting go will put the switch into link mode. Now, a single tap afterwards adds the multi feature. That's multi-link. For the purpose of this video, we're going to talk about multi-link. Now, multi-link is the ability to add another function on the standard link mode that we've already talked about. How that's achieved is you press and let go the button that you want. You hold the set button in for 3 seconds and let go. Now that puts the button into into link mode, which will allow it to take one link. But if I want to link a dozen or more devices to that one button, all I have to do is press and release the set button one more time. It's a very quick press and release. Now this button is in multi-link mode. Now what that'll allow me to do is go around the house and link devices by just holding the set button in on the device, whether it's a switch, hold it for 3 seconds. If it was a receptacle, hold it for 3 seconds. It's actually going to create the link from this keypad button to this device without having to go back and put it into link mode each time. The same can be done on a standard switch. Put the switch into link mode by holding for 3 seconds, then let go, then a single tap on that set button. That puts it into multi-link mode. Now, you have a certain amount of time for this. Before you link anything, on the first time, it gives you 4 minutes to get to your first device. After you've done that, you'll get a reoccurring 4 minutes. So every link that you do is going to put the timer back to 4 minutes. And then as it works its way down, as long as you go and link to something else within 4 minutes, you'll get that 4 minutes again. If you don't have any activity for over 4 minutes, it'll turn itself out of auto link mode and go back to its normal state. This video is about multi-link mode. Now, multi-link mode can be achieved a couple of ways. One is by holding the switch in for 10 seconds, any one of the buttons on a keypad or a single switch. Just hold it in the on position for 10 seconds and then let go and do a single tap on the set button. Now, a quicker way to do that is just go to the button that you want, touch the button, hold the set button for 3 seconds, let go, then do a single tap on the button. That single tap adds the multi feature, which will allow it to stay into link mode for 4.5 minutes. Now, after you've created one link to it, then the timer is going to start over and it's going to give you 4 minutes each time. So this will allow you to work your way around the house, creating links to either a keypad button or a switch, and give you 4 minutes every time that you create a link. Your timer goes back to 4 minutes. After 4 minutes of inactivity, then your multi-link function is going to end and the switch goes back to normal. That's multi-link. Now this video is about Unlink. Now once we've created a link to something, in this case, let's say it's a button on a keypad. When I push it, it turns on a few switches. Well, if I want to unlink one of those switches or more, I can put this button into unlink mode, and that's done by touching the button I want, holding the set button for 3 seconds, then letting go, then hold it in again for 3 seconds and let go. That puts it into unlink mode. Now go to the desired device that you want to unlink, and maybe it's the switch in the middle. Hold the set button for 3 seconds and you will create a deleting of that link. Now when I push the button, that device won't go on anymore. That's unlink. Same thing can happen on a switch. If the switch was turning on 2 or 3 switches or was even just linked to one. Hold the set button for 3 seconds, let go, hold it again for 3 seconds, and let go. Then go to the desired switch that you were trying to unlink and hold its set button for 3 seconds. This will stop flashing and you will create an unlink to this device. This video is about multi-unlink. Now this is an undocumented feature, but it is something that works and can be handy. Just like Unlink, where you go to the switch or the button that you want, touch it, hold the set button for 3 seconds, let go, and hold again for 3, and let go, which puts you in standard unlink mode. If you actually tap the set button once afterwards, it adds that multi feature, which will allow me to go through and keep unlinking devices one at a time that were originally linked to maybe one of these buttons. So if this button originally turned on, I don't know, 5 or 10 different things, I can put it in unlink mode and then add the multi feature by hitting the set button once, and then go to each one of the devices I want to unlink and just hold the set button in for 3 seconds and go to the next and go to the next, go to the next. Maybe it's a receptacle, hold its set button, and I can do that without having to go back and put this into unlink mode each time. It'll save a lot of time. This video is for scene. This next video is scene programming. Now, scene programming is kind of taking a lot of what we've learned and putting it together into one process. So the first thing would be, if it was a keypad that was going to be controlling a scene, we would put the keypad button into multi-link mode, which is touching the button you want, hold the set button in for 3 seconds, then let go, then do a single tap on the set button. Now the keypad button is in multi-link mode. Now I can go around to all the different devices that I want that keypad button to control and set their attributes. by setting the preset dim level that we've already talked about, setting the ramp rate. Once that's done, hold the set button for 3 seconds, and you've now created a link back to this button. When you're in multi-link mode, you have about 4.5 minutes, we've talked about, to get to the first link, and then 4 minutes thereafter. So while you're creating a scene, you've got enough time to get to your next device, make the changes, and then move on to the next device. So once again, when you're in multi-link mode, this is how you create scenes, where you can go to each device, set the parameters or the attributes of the switch, ramp rate, preset dim level. If it's a lamp module, you're going to do the same thing. If you want it to go to 50%, make those changes. Then hold the set button in for 3 seconds and you'll create a link. Once that's done, go on to the next device. When you're all finished, you either just wait out the 4 minutes and the keypad will stop flashing, or go to the keypad and just touch the button. That'll stop the process. Now you can test it. So that's how you create a scene. Now, toggle and non-toggle. Stop that. This video is about toggle, non-toggle mode and what that means. A normal keypad button, when you push it, is in toggle mode. I push it once, it goes on. I push it again, it goes off. Now you can create it so it only sends on commands if you'd like. Now, in the new keypads that we're shipping, when you first hit the set button for 3 seconds and let go, hold it again for 3 and let go, then hold it again for 3 and let go, it is going to take the last button that you pushed and it's going to put it into non-toggle off, meaning it's only going to send off commands. Now, if you repeat the process again, 3 seconds, let go, 3 seconds, let go, and 3 seconds, let go, it'll make it an always on button. Now, people may ask, why would I want a button that only does on commands or off commands? If you want your house to be in entertain mode, you would have it set so it only sends on commands. That way, if somebody goes into a room and turns one of the switches off, all you have to do is push that same button again and it will only turn that one switch back on. This eliminates you having to turn the whole house off just to get the on command to come again. Now, an off command and having it send only off commands would be helpful when you want to do a good night button and you don't want to have to turn all the lights in the house on to get to the off button, which is going to be the second time you push it, have it turn everything off. This way, it doesn't matter if only one light is on. When you hit your all off button that is set as a non-toggle off, it is only going to turn that one switch off. It's a lot more efficient and it will save you from having to turn all your lights on and off every other time when you don't need that portion of the function. Once again, how did we get there? If we want to set an always on button on the new keypads, touch the button you want, hold the set button in for 3 seconds, let go, 3, let go, hold again for 3 and let go. Now you have to repeat this again. 3, let go, 3, let go, and 3. Now it'll only send on commands. In the older versions of the keypad, if the switch was illuminated and you held for 3 seconds and let go, and then 3 and let go, and 3, it would automatically jump over and be an always on button or a non-toggle on. How do you know if it's new or not? Anything that you've bought in the last year, let's say from 2008 on, has probably got the function where you have to do 3 seconds for each one of the steps. Stop it. This video is on grouping. Now, I'm going to verbally explain how to do it, and then I'm going to explain why you would want 2 buttons that are grouped, or 3 or 4. I'm not going to go into the detailed explanation of how it's done because software can do it much quicker, but here's the basic gist of what grouping is. If I have one button, and let's say it's button A on a keypad, and I push it, and that does my welcome home scene. Then I have another button that's next to it that's going to do my evening scene. Well, I would want it to turn off the welcome home button. So they call it mutually exclusive or only having one button on at a time. But if you group buttons together, what happens is only one of them will be illuminated. It'll turn off the other buttons. How do you get into that mode? I'll explain. It's going to be a little difficult to follow, but I'm going to show you once. The first thing you do is you put the button that you first want to have grouped, put it into link mode. Okay? It'll start flashing, then you press and hold the button that you want to be grouped to it, and hold it till your first button stops flashing. Then you're going to go to the button you just held and put it into link mode, and go back to the first button that you started with and hold it till the other button stops flashing. Now when you let go, both of them are going to be lit. Push them so the lights are off and repeat that process again. that will group those two buttons. It's going to be a lot more difficult as you want to have more and more buttons grouped to it. So software may be your approach. Both HouseLink and the ISY can achieve this very quickly. This video is on calculating loads. This is an important part of the installation process. Now, whenever you gang up switches, meaning whenever you put more than one switch in a box, the National Electrical Code says that you have to derate those switches, especially when they're dimmers. There's an exception for relay switches, but you should follow the process whenever possible. But on dimmers, if I had a 600 watt dimmer that I installed in a box with two other switches or even just one other switch, I have to derate that dimmer by 20%, which now only allows me to put a load of 480 watts on that dimmer. If it's a 1000 watt switch and I've installed it in a box, I have to at least take two heat sinks off to fit in the box. If I installed it in the middle of two switches, I'd have to take all four off, which would in essence derate the switch to a 600 watt switch. And then on top of it, I have to derate to the National Electrical Code standard, which is 480 watts. So keep in mind, whenever using 1000 watt switches and you install them between two switches, taking those heat sinks off is important. Because you are going to be derating that switch every 100 watts for every heatsink, and then you have to derate on top of it. Now, my standard rule of thumb is to do 75% across the board. You've always covered yourself then whenever the derating comes into play. So a single switch that's by itself, that is a 600 watt switch, I wouldn't put more than 480 watts on it. It's just a good rule of thumb in case you do this for a customer and then they come back in and take your 75 watt light bulbs and put 100 watt light bulbs in without you knowing a year later. You've always covered yourself by putting a little bit of cushion in there in your rating factor. So the National Electrical Code says 20% when you gang up switches, and a good rule of thumb is 75% of the full load, or 25% of the rated value on a switch. Okay, this video is for three-way wiring. Now, this is only going to mean something to you if you're an electrician, but I want to give you a verbal explanation, and we will have drawings that will help accompany this video also that you'll be able to refer to. But one way to do three-way switches is this. If you take out a three-way switch and you look at the side of it, you'll notice that one side has two screw terminals that are the same color, and one has one that's a different color. Usually brass and bronze are the two colors. The bronze one is going to be for your travelers, and the brass is going to be either your hot coming into the switch or the load going out. Now, typically what I do is I'll pull my three-way switches out, I'll take the one that's under the screw color that's by itself, and I will pull that wire off and put it aside and put a wire nut on it. I'll do that on both of my three-way switches. Now, I will take one of my traveler wires and I'll put it under the wire nut to the one wire that I've taken off. And on the other side, I'm not going to know which wire is the same wire, so I'll actually take the wire and I'll touch it to each one of those traveler wires until my light lights up. In essence, I've created a big loop. Now, the other traveler that I'm not using, I'm going to land that on my neutral, and now I have a hot, a neutral, and a switch leg at the one box that only has three wires. That is going to be wired up like a regular switch. You might want to put white tape on that other traveler. And at the other end, where the neutral was originated, you're going to want to make that just the hot and the load, or the hot and the neutral, and not use the load wire. And then link the two together and you've created an Insteon three-way. Now, this video is on troubleshooting. Some of the best tools that you can use are our HouseLink diagnostic, where you can go through, and after you've learned devices into your network, you can go through and run the diagnostic and see how well they're communicating. Another thing you can do is look for devices like access points and our old tabletop controller, our control link, and the LED on those will flash whenever they see traffic, Insteon traffic, or noise. Now, what I would always do is go and take one of those and walk around the house and plug them in and look and see if I saw that making noise, or if it was seeing noise and reacting to it. So the old control link, access points, PLMs, those devices, the LED will flash when it sees traffic or Insteon traffic. You'll also see it flash or flutter when it sees noise. So when you know you're not pushing any buttons and you still see it fluttering or flashing really fast, it's indicative of noise in your house. And what you'll want to do is go and turn off breakers in your panel one at a time until the noise goes away. So turn a breaker off, look and see if it's still flashing. If it's not, then you've solved the problem. As long as you didn't kill the power to the outlet that's feeding the PLM or the device that you're looking at, now what you need to do is look at what devices aren't working in the house, because one of those is going to be the culprit. Now, if you went to your first breaker and that didn't do it, then turn that back on and go to your next one and turn it off. Keep repeating the process by turning the breakers back on and back off until you see the PLM or the light on your control link steady. Now, this is just a little tip that we have. It's not an official troubleshooting device, but it does work, and it does help serve for the process of doing troubleshooting with noise. Found it?
Yeah.
Now guys, record.
This video is on factory reset, or bringing back a device to its factory firmware value. This video is about factory reset. Now on a switch, you can do that by taking the set button, pulling the set button out for 3 to 4 seconds, and then pressing and holding in for an equal amount of time. When you let go, the switch will appear to be dead. Then it will reset, and you'll see the LED go to the top. That's going to let you know that you factory resetted the device properly. You can do the same on a keypad. You can do it also on a receptacle. A little trickier on this. One of the easy ways to do it is just turn power off to the receptacle, hold the set button in, and then apply power and hold it in for another 4 to 5 seconds. And let go. You'll actually reset the memory inside the receptacle. Same thing for any plug-in module, whether it's a lamp module. You can unplug it, hold the set button in for about a second or two while it's unplugged, and then apply power. Then hold it in for about 5 seconds. When you let go, you will have reset the switch, and it will go back to the factory value. So the same process applies whether it's a keypad. You're going to pull out the set button here, push it back in. Since you can't pull out the set button here, you have to actually pull the device out of the wall, hold it in, then apply power. What's happening when you're pulling the set button out, you're actually killing power to the switch. So it's the same process. An easy way to kill power to this is to unplug it from the wall. So if you turn the breaker off to this, you could just hold the set button in and then turn the breaker back on. That is another way to do it also. So that is factory reset. Well, now this is our conclusion video. You've gone through about 17 steps of Insteon, which should give you a pretty good handle on how to take this product and install it in your own house. Now, what comes with doing that is practice. And the more you practice, the more proficient you'll get at it, and the easier it's going to become. Now, you can use these videos to fall back on and watch again specific aspects like how to put a device into Link mode or how to set a preset dim level. But following these videos, we kept them short so you'd be able to go through and watch them in a pretty quick time and not have to spend a lot of time doing it. At the end also, we're going to have a test that you can submit to us, which will show us that you've watched the videos and cover the requirement for doing Insteon 101. The next step would be to do our 201 class, and presently that has to be done in person. It's a class that is hands-on. We have actual training boxes, which you've seen in the video here, that every student will have, and you'll be asked to go through a kind of a little test at the end that'll have a time limit on it, but it'll see that you have really grasped the hands-on aspect of how to use Insteon. Our classes also go over software and different applications using the iPhone and other ways of interfacing with Insteon. But the 101 class is kind of the core of where it starts, and then from there we have many other classes that will help you build on your Insteon experience.